Like, tell me what you think is going on. So, like, are these guys? Well, let me start with, what do you think the goal is? If you buy JVN or Something Navy, what do you think the goal is? Because Something Navy is not the next Nike, and it's not the next Allbirds or On Shoes, or what is it? It's not the next Aloe Yoga.
Yeah, I do think that, for example, like on running, well, in general, I think the goal is basically, instead of building a Nike, like instead of building a $10 billion brand, can we maybe build 10 $50 million brands?
That's right. Yes.
Or 30, $50 million brands. And I think a lot of times too, like I'd imagine a lot of these companies are set up somewhat similar to maybe a Sharma brand setup, which is, or any agency setup, which is like you've got departments that are really good at certain things, and you sort of have this machine that you can, put something in on one side and out the other side comes the finished product. I'd imagine they're looking at some of these businesses and they're like, oh, you guys are spending how much on employee costs for a VP of marketing and an SVP of marketing and a director of marketing and integrated brand marketing manager. Like we could cut all these costs. The brand is already well known and it's well liked. It has good reviews, and we can just drop the cost of supply chain or producing these products, and all the places you guys have been trying to get to, or places where you probably won't want to go to. We'll just go there because we can immediately unlock cash.
That's really interesting. So one, I think you're absolutely right. I think there is a play of like, let us pick up $5 to $10 million brands, and we have a decent size, maybe not publicly traded business, but like, strong business that somebody else could roll up into a couple of these and actually go public or sell to somebody more interesting. So I think you're right. I think there is the option, like, though that is their MO. And I think it's a really good one, because I think it's much easier to build a $10 million brand than it is to build a $50 million brand. Like, the cost of advertising just goes up so much.
Totally.
That like, if you're like trying to be really economical about it, like, you're probably gonna have a lean team and focus on digital ads. And so I think it makes a lot of sense to do that $10 million brand instead of one $50 million brand.
The other thing that comes to mind is, like, if you go to a lot of these platforms or holdco websites, they're nowhere near the level of sophistication that modern day holdco websites are. Only to say that these guys are clearly not like digital guys. They're not looking at this and thinking we can run ads better, or we can have a better Shopify site than these guys can. They're looking at this and thinking, okay, we have all the relationships to plug these products in and immediately start selling, because people will go to TJ Maxx or Macy's and they'll recognize this brand name immediately.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that like they approach this as there's still juice to squeeze out of this lemon, but it'll die? Or do you think that they're like, this is a brand we're going to revive, or like, maintain for like 10 years from now? Is Something Navy still selling? Or they're just like, look, we think that, we can buy it for $7.5 million. We can probably generate $100 million of sales in the next 3 years, maybe $250 million of sales in the next 5 years. Squeeze whatever juices out of there. Because, you go to TJ Maxx and Marshall's, hard to come back.
Yeah.
Like if you're there pretty consistently and that's where your brand shows up, and like then you create a boutique in Soho, that boutique in Soho is not going to work out.